Hello, Suram. Morning. So let's start our lecture. So today's topic is web technology. As I already told you, what is a web technology? So just we give and some small definition. What is a technology and how can we define the web technologies? Okay. So for that, in technologies, we select the term websites. Okay. So what are the websites? So what websites is made of numbers of pages. We can say that collection of the pages, like numbers of pages we collected in a one place, correct? So one by one pages is linked with another, one page is linked with another page, and when you open up one page and you go on next page, so that's collection we can call web pages. So some kind of websites are available, like we can say that educational websites, for social websites, then military websites, for or like scientifically scientific websites. So there are lots of websites are available, and normally websites usually created for commercial purpose. Like I already said, commercial, it means like educational, then official, then industrial websites, then like government websites. Right. So if we say website, there are different types of websites. So there are various extensions for that websites, correct? And those extension depends on a prime purpose. What are the prime purpose, like commercial, organization, networks, business, right? For countries also. And how can we define those? For commercial, we use .com extension. Then if we want to organize something, so for organization we use org extension. Then network we use .net. For business we use .biz, right? And for education we use .edu educational, right? If we want to use countries like India, UK, or America. So for India, we use .in, and America .us. There are lots of extension available today, but we give some examples. So those are some example. Just like United Kingdom, they use .uk extension, and New Zealand, they are also using .nz extension. So definitely we consider it these things. I think web development, or we can say web technology, websites. So we can consider this thing for your career option, correct? So if you think become a web developer, then you first should understand the entire technology of web, right? Just like I already told you, what is a www, what is a web technology, what are the websites, what are the web pages is, and how is it collected, how can we design those things, and how can we organize those things, correct? So um, for that you have to collect those information, correct? For web design or web development, there are two types, or we can say two important aspects are important for that process. So what are those two aspects? First one is web designing, and second one is web development. So web development is a different thing, and web design is a different thing. Like, correct? If you want to develop any website, so you have to design, format that website, correct? And second part is the in web development is scripting. And for scripting, you use a language, correct? For client side and server side. And designing part, these are the different things. So for designing, you design your website using different languages, right? Design part is also related to your database. Design part is what you want to show in your website, how website you look, and how it useful, quickly accessible for user, correct? So for that kind of thing, you design your website. We can say that user friendly, yeah, user friendly. You want to design your website to user friendly, like quickly accessible and quickly easily understandable, correct? Because in current time, user is tired to access in difficult situation. So it's if your website design is user friendly and quickly accessible, then user will be attract automatically, correct? So you can collect lots of people attractions. So that's why your designing part of your website is a user friendly, unique and understandable, quickly accessible. That's why. So for that type, you use different languages like HTML, CSS, XML, JSON. Depends on your choice. So those are part of your web development part for the designing part, correct? And your scripting part, if we say in scripting part, we choose two things: first client and then server. So in client side, you use JavaScript or jQuery or Ajax. So and server side, you use your database, correct? If you say in server side, so Java, Servlet, JSP, PHP, those languages you used. So let's move on. Next point. So web designing, correct? So let's say for your web design, web design part. Oh, I'm so sorry. For your web design part, what can we say for your web design? So this one is also main topic. So the basic intention of your web designing is always commercial, correct? As already I told you, commercial, it means you can divide your website. It's for educational, your commercial, your organizational, your network or business. With what kind of website you open or you develop. So for that, it's always market, you analyze your market and then you develop, then analyze that thing, then it necessary that the website should be friendly and attractive, which is completely depend upon the design of website. As I told, a designing part is important. It's a quickly accessible and user friendly, correct? Then second thing, for a design purpose, various scripting language available, as I told, HTML, CSS, like, correct? So for that, we use some tools like Photoshop, CorelDRAW, Flash. Those are tools are available in market, right? And we move on. Next part is a web development. For your web development, okay. For your web development, how can you develop or how can you program your site? So using for programming language, correct? So you can write some program for your software, you can say that. So such program can also written in a web development. Those program or those code, we can say, known as a scripting, and the language is also which can say write such script, right? Because we write some code, right? So those language or those known as a scripting language, correct? So basically there are two types of script, correct? For understand, we will take an example like if you want to open your email account, okay? So your email account is in a form type, okay? Because email account, you have to open your email ID, then you provide your information. So in the, if you open some form, there is a, if we say, if a hard copy is just, it's a document, right? So if we fill any document, there is always we give some information or basic information like your name, your address, your numbers, okay, your PAN ID, Aadhaar ID, whatever. So that type you have to open your one form. So for that, your, we can say that your email account, you use form, okay? So create email account, we have to fill the email account information form. So which we have to give username, password, some personal details like your other information also. So email account which contains a different control like text box, check box, option button, submit button, radio button, etc. So it's a designing part, correct? So designing using like HTML and CSS languages. For that, you have to use CSS cascading style sheet, and second thing, hypertext markup language, correct? So for that, customize your tags, like creation and data transfer is done by using those languages. Like we use XML and JSON for data transfer. So if you remember, while filling such form, it may be possible that we left some field empty or may give us such incorrect data. So in this case, website gives an error message. Focus us to fill and correct the data. Like if you give some incorrect information or matching data or previously that those ideas created already. So it that time you will see you receive some notification or we can say error message because this ID is already present or something like that. So that means the website has written the code in script language, scripting, to check the data given by user or given by us. So it's known as the validation checking, correct? Because it checked na in your database that code are already that email ID are already present or that password are already present or that password is unique or not. So such type. So this scripting directly interact with the client website user. It means normal user. So it's called the client side script, correct? Because we get that information from client side, correct? So that's why we call that client side scripting. And this language, such scripting is known in a client side scripting language. So there are numbers of client side scripting language like JavaScript, jQuery, Ajax. So if you consider you give the all data correctly, if you fill all data correctly in your email account and you submitted that form. So now where data goes? So that data is stored in a database. Like we already talk about the databases. So that data which you filled and submitted, it's stored in database like Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL on server because those databases are present in server. Na? So now to store such data in databases, the website has to write a script to and interact with database which is always there in server. So such script is known as a server side script, correct? Because we get that data from user and we store in server side using database. So that's why we call it server side script. So this language which script this written in a server side scripting language. For that we use some languages. We use some JavaScript, Java, PHP. In Java, Servlet and JSP we also use. Okay. So you know how to design and how to develop. That those two main point we already discussed. What is the designing part and what is the development part. Now let's move on our web planning and web development. Correct. So what is the planning or we can say that what is the development? Oh, I'm so sorry. So for planning, we already see how we plan because we know right now we know how what is a website, what are the website extensions, what kind of proposal provided by the website. So it's like it's a marketing, yes, it's a shopping website or it's an educational website or it's a we can say business website, banking website, right? So that those are the websites and how can we design that website part and it's and how can we develop that design. Right. Now move our next point, next topic, website planning and design issues. So if you want to design your website or you create you want to develop any website, so you have to create one plan. You're planning like you get some information, then you collect that information, you filterize that information, you manage that information, correct? For that you plan, right? So there are 9 phases, we can say there are 9 phases in our planning. So for website planning there are 9 phases are available. There are different phases. So let's see. First phase is your set your purpose and goal. So what can we say in that? If you fail to plan or your plan to be failed, so in sometimes it's true sometimes not, right? For that we propose this planning, correct? So what is the purpose of planning? First of all, So let's say, what is the purpose of your website? Why you design that website? What is the use of that website? What will be gain? You can gain publicity. I mean, how can you gain publicity for your business, right? So how can you sell your inventory, which something you have to sell, na? So to sell your inventory, to really support behind the cause. I mean, what was the use, what was the disadvantages, what was the inventory part, how can you sell your data, how can you publish your business, right? Those are some important points in your propose. Okay. And second part is your goal, because you can set some purpose in first step and then you find out your goal, right? We can say output for your website. So you should define some goals, right? So for that, you divided that part. For example, how many users or how many visitors visit your website per month, per week, per day, correct? How do you expect will sign up for your newsletter, correct? So third part, we can say that how get sorry get support behind a particular causes, correct? So such things are part of your proposal timing, but it's a part of your first step, right? How can you gain publicity, how can you publish your business, or how can you marketing your business, how can you sell the inventory, and your third main point is a get support behind a particular cause. Okay. Now the goal. So how can you finish your goal, or how can you define goal thing, how can you achieve your goal, correct? So how much you sell expect from your website, correct? Because there is a beneficial factory, you already decided na some goal. So those are things are in your first plan phase. So first phase in your set your purpose and goal. Next, so move on to your next phase. Next phase is create a budget. And now you suppose you establish some organization or site, right? You start something. So for that you set some budget for your website, because those expenses you already decided, correct? So how can you all those things included with your budget, and you how can you organize that budget and utilize that money, correct? So this will probably include fund and fund, correct? So for that, your designing part also, your web hosting parts also, your research part also for marketing, shop around, like you consulting some professional with that. Those points you consult with someone. So that's why those are parts with your second phase, creating a budget. Sometimes you avoid the expenses for some important things to decrease the cost, may lead to big headache, or we can say that there is no more important things to purchase, or you waste your money. So that's why you analyze properly that thing and then you decided your budget, correct? So move on your assign the roles. So next part is assign the roles. So there are different stakeholders in your website, like there are 2 3 peoples which invest, or we can say 2 3 people are stakeholders. So that time different role will be come out, or different idea will be come out from them. So in that process, main part is owner of the business, marketing manager, then a web and graphic designer, then HTML CSS professional, web developer, content writer or editor, database administrator. So those are 6 points are important for your assigning a role assignment. Then you move on next page, create a content strategy. How strategy you utilize, which strategy you can get. So content is nothing but any text on website which gives some information to visitor, correct? Which information is useful for your website, which shown on your website for the user. Good. So that time user can understand easily which kind of your website provided. Correct. For that you use some content like blog post, pictures, video, slideshows, embedded social media feed like Twitter, stream. Correct. Some documents or your link of the web page. Sorry, Facebook page. Correct. So that content strategy helps to present your content in that time. So next your phase is a structure your website. In structure, we can say that decide the exact features of your web page. Correct. So almost website have a about and contact pages. For that, you can say they can contact you personally, or they can inform you something personal level. For that, you give that informations on your website. Then sixth one, create a mock-up. For the mock-up, which is also known as a fireframe, it's outline of your website. Correct.